Welcome to Look Behind You, the podcast about the paranormal, the supernatural, and everything in between. I am Sir Boom, your host, and I am joined by my two co-hosts. I am joined by Ramen Cat.
Hello.
And Wolf.
Hello.
And this has been a long night, and we are finally recording.
This has been a great night.
We're recording about when we normally do. I think it's just we're tired.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. You guys got here early, so we've been doing a lot of stuff. So
Mostly
anyways,
eating.
Got here early. We bought way more food than we needed, and it's been like a buffet.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this tale of weirdness and mystery. I guess it'd be
Weirdness,
considered.
mystery, and just some good old home state Michigan legends.
Yeah, because we are talking about the Nain rouge.
Yes, or the Red Dwarf of Detroit.
The
Yes.
Nain rouge.
Nain rouge.
I don't know. Every single time I see its name, I think of a nin rogue.
Nain Rouge.
Nain
A
rouge.
nun rogue.
Yeah.
Is that a multi-class in D&D?
At some
Probably.
point, yes, it probably is now.
Wouldn't it just be like a paladin rogue?
Yes.
No, it would be a monk rogue.
Yeah, and it just had to be
Because
female.
monk and nun, for definition, are just the same thing.
Yeah, it's just one's the female term and one's the male
yeah.
term. Yeah.
So
Okay, that
it'd
makes
just be a
sense.
monk rogue.
Oh, interesting.
But we're talking about the Nain Rouge, which is
Yes.
a red dwarf.
Like a star?
Thing.
Or a really weird sci-fi comedy.
Apparently.
Oh yeah, that British one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd never heard of
I've
it.
never seen, I've heard of it.
Yeah. So yeah, besides for that, how are you two doing today?
Tired.
That was simple. How about you?
Fantastic. I'm running on a high of mucho mango Arizona tea.
That's great.
So I apologize if I just ricochet off the wall.
Yeah, please don't, because I don't own the walls.
I do.
Oh, sweet. But yeah, so I guess we'll jump right into our topic. The Nain rouge is supposedly quite literally a little devil that resides in Detroit. He is known for being a forebearer of disaster, much like the Mothman. And yeah, he is easily appeased if you are able to
Compliment it.
compliment him in a way, but if you kind of make him mad or do something kind of mean to him, he will curse you.
Like beating them with a cane.
Yeah, like the great founder of Detroit did at one point.
Yep. Mr. Cadillac.
I don't know why I didn't think of this when doing research. This is probably the easiest creature in everything that we've researched to not make angry.
And guess what they did?
Made it angry.
Exactly. Welcome to Crypto Lore, where they just beat the crap out of everything that walks weird.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's true.
I know.
It's
just so
true.
funny.
Hey, look! There's the New Jersey Devil. I'm gonna shoot a cannon at it.
There's Bigfoot. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, humans don't have a good track record
Nah,
with the unknown.
we've learned that very easily.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, according to various narratives surrounding the figure Detroit's founder, I'm going to mess this up because it's French, but I'm going to try my best. Anton de la Mothe Cadillac was told by a fortune teller to appease the Nain rouge, but upon encountering the creature, he smacked it with his cane and shouted, "Get out of my way, you red imp!" As a consequence, a string of bad luck befell Cadillac. He was charged with abuse of power and resigned to Louisiana, later returning to France where he was briefly imprisoned and eventually lost his fortune. So that is the beginning of the Nain rouge legend.
Yeah.
Right at the very beginning of Detroit's founding, the founder of Detroit made it mad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even though he was told, hey, you're going to meet this imp. Unless, like, they're stumbling over imps over in Detroit.
oh man, there's a red one, there's a blue one, there's a pink one. Like, ah.
A yellow one, a green
That would be
one.
pretty noticeable, especially with what the Nain Rouge looks like.
Exactly.
Because it is...
What does it look like, Ramaka?
It's not pleasant looking.
Well,
No.
That's for sure.
one would guess is it being called the Red Dwarf or the Demon of the Straits.
Yes. So the Nain Rouge is, of course, given with its name, it is a very small creature with a incredibly very red face. Like, red.
So it doesn't have a red body.
It doesn't really explain. I mean, all the depictions have it just looking like a cliche emperor devil.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Red. So I'm assuming just with the old descriptions of stuff, red face, they're assuming
Yeah.
everything. Either that or he was very stressed.
That could be, yeah. Maybe he was holding his breath. No, wait, that turns you purple. Never mind.
But he is described to have a very red face with bright glistening eye. So it didn't have like that glowing, burning look. It looked like something cold and just dead.
Dang.
So, like, a glistening, like, dead eye?
I think so.
Like a cold
It's also
stare.
described that instead of having depth, it emitted a cold gleam like the reflection from a polished surface that would bewilder and dazzle all who came into its focus. Had a grinning mouth with several sharp-pointed teeth, and other descriptions of it have it as a small creature with red and black fur covering an animal's body, but with the face of an old man with blazing red eyes and rotten teeth.
Dang.
That to me just sounds like an angry raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the origins of the Nain Rouge come from, or they're deriving from the Norman French tales of the lutin, a type of hobgoblin, along with Native American legends of an impish offspring of the stone god.
Sounds like an album cover right there.
Yeah.
Stone God.
Yep.
Sounds like SCP, Church of the Broken God.
Yeah,
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of.
That's what I think of when I hear stone god, but yeah.
I don't know, my brain immediately went to like Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh,
But yeah, that's the general description of the little fella. And according to the legend, or from a story he written in a book that was written by a Marie Caroline Watson Hamlin in her 1883 Legends of Detroit, it describes of course, the first encounter of Cadillac with his, which again seems like a very weird way to go about when you've been warned of a bringer of doom that you're going to encounter.
He was at a party, and a fortune teller was there, and it ended up coming to him. He got his fortune told, and then was warned about the Nain Rouge, and not to offend it. A couple months later, he finds the Nain Rouge and beats it with a cane.
And shouted at him.
Yeah.
So, of course, he was cursed by the,
Nain Rouge.
yeah. Also, there was a time, forgive me for being a little spotty here, my notes are currently all over the place.
currently, literally all over the place.
Literally all over the place.
I'm
On
looking
the
at 'em.
walls, on the ceiling, everywhere.
I don't own the wall.
After that, let's see here.
You talking about when it was supposedly seen again?
Yes, I wanted to get into when it was seen, and so far my notes have betrayed me. I think I've been cursed.
So, just kind of like what we said with like the Mothman, it's been seen at sites of disaster in Detroit mostly. I think exclusively in Detroit.
Yes, just exclusively in Detroit.
And of course, just like the Mothman, they don't know if it's malicious or trying to warn you about it or something.
Yeah.
But it was spotted, let me see, the creatures. On July 30th, 1763, before the Battle of Bloody Run, where 58 British soldiers were killed by Native Americans from Chief Pontiac's Ottawa tribe.
Yep.
Yep.
And supposedly that day, the river literally ran red with the amount of blood it was
Yes.
carrying.
The Nain Rouge had apparently been spotted the night before
Yes.
wandering along the riverbank there.
Yep.
And also dancing among corpses on the bank of the Detroit River after the battle.
Yikes. After that, in 1967, it was claimed to have been spotted by 2 utility workers who had seen the creature climbing along
Utility
A
pole.
power
a
line?
power line.
Okay.
They're called. a lot of
Ironically
things.
enough, they had thought that this at first was a child climbing up along it,
Yep.
and
Try to get it down.
no, I don't think they
That's
tried to get
funny.
it down. There's like, yep, there's a child there.
If I remember right, the thing I read said that they approached it and tried to like get it down because if a kid was up one of those poles, that's dangerous.
I would assume that they would have went and tried to find it.
And then it just jumped off the pole straight down to the ground and then ran away.
Dang.
Like it didn't climb down; it just hopped down.
Yeah, that little detail I hadn't seen, but that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And then they noticed that it was a red creature.
To hop back just to encounter before that, I just remembered this as well. There was also, it was reported to have been seen before a fire that had almost destroyed
Yep.
Detroit.
During 1805.
Yep.
It was supposedly seen during the Great Fire of Detroit, where it was said to have danced among the flames.
Like
Angry.
imps.
Happy little guy.
Happy little guy. Happy or anger issues?
I don't know. Maybe a little bit of both. And then, of course, the last sighting up until modern days was he appeared in 1967, during the uprisings. So basically during the giant riots. Wait a second.
That's
that
when
right?
that's when the utility workers had seen him the day before.
Yes. Yep.
And then the riots broke out in Detroit.
No, 1976 is when the 2 utility workers found him. In 67 was the riots. So we're getting a little bit mixed up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not my apologies.
67 was the riots, the uprising, where much of the city burned again, and he was seen, doing his thing,
Yep.
causing mischief. And then after that, the 2 utility workers saw him during 1976.
Yep.
So
Right before the great blizzard that everyone tells us about.
yeah, and I have never seen proof from it ever since, really. So I don't believe it.
Yeah, my parents say they have pictures, but I haven't
Supposedly.
saw them.
Of the
No,
red dwarf or of
The blizzard.
of the blizzard. Okay.
the ice storm.
Yeah, my family has told me stories of having to burrow out their door, and a former coworker told me like him and his brothers made a ramp in the snow and just shot their snowmobile out
Yeah.
of it.
Wow.
So we didn't really talk about this in the episode outline, but I'm going to add this in.
Cool.
What do you guys think between the link of the Nain Rouge and the Mothman?
Well, Mothman has been linked very much to being a harbinger of
Doom,
doom,
peril.
peril,
Chaos,
disaster.
yeah.
It's just an agent of chaos, basically, or a warner of chaos. And that very much seems to be what this is as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems to be, I don't know, it seems like to be a subcategory of cryptid so far.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they're warning us about something or almost causing that thing,
I think it's probably more attracted to it.
you think? Like, it's
Yeah.
like attracted by like, maybe like the negative emotion and stuff
Yeah.
of that situation.
Yeah, that very
Kind
well
of
could
like
be.
how some people see like demonic things.
Yeah, yep, I could see that.
No, there is also the thing too of a little bit of an interesting thing is not only in Europe did they have legends of creatures like this, a lot of small mischievous things,
Yep.
is the fact of it being it was also believed by the Native Americans that lived here to be a spirit of the strait.
Yeah.
So there's that too, which I mean, there was legends linked back to Native Americans for Mothman as well.
And to kind of go even further into like the tiny men
Mythos.
there are legends, like you said, in like Europe and stuff, but it travels all the way through like Japan and stuff as well, where they have mythos of, well, literal miniature tiny old men
Yeah.
that wander around.
Yep.
Supposedly, fairies also derive from them as well, from like Gaelic and Irish lore as well.
Oh.
Tiny people that either live in the woods or live amongst people like invisibly.
Yep.
And they're also known to curse or bless people depending on how people treat them when they come upon them.
Yeah.
So,
I did find one thing very interesting, not to go off track. It still has to do with the Nain Rouge, but in one thing that was linked back to is old Native American creation tales.
yep,
Ooh.
because of
And,
the stone god.
Yep, because of the stone god. But I did not realize this, and I didn't look too much into the creation tales themselves. But usually old legends have where creatures and stuff existed before humans, where in the creation tales of this, humans existed before any of this stuff came along.
Okay, that's
Humans were
interesting.
made first, and
Yeah.
then the spirits and the creatures and stuff were said to have been created.
Interesting. So instead of
Us being the intruders or anything,
Right.
they were brought in to balance things.
right,
That's
like
really
we
interesting.
were spreading across the earth, and the gods or whatever set forth these creatures to kind of bring about a better ecosystem.
Yeah, and take care of things. So
Yeah, that's
that
interesting.
That could be kind of a thing. I mean, you just chilling out and you're a little straight, and all of a sudden people come along, they put a fort there, things are going good, a guy whacks you over the head,
And then you get mad,
and then you get mad for about 200 years.
and you just curse the whole city.
Yeah. Curse you, you hit me if I can. Curse you all.
But yeah. So what do you think about it, Wolf? Like, what do you think about the whole Mothman? Kind of like
I think
that
this is
whole
probably
thing?
most definitely different than the Mothman.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is the Mothman, or it's like Mothman's like ugly brother or anything, but
It could be his just like grumpy little cousin.
I see
Could be.
I see this less as a cryptid
Yeah.
and more as a spirit or demonic thing.
okay. So you think it actually is like an actual like demon,
Yeah.
or like a possessed spirit, or like maybe like a Native American spirit type of
Yeah,
thing?
one of those.
Okay.
Where like the Mothman is really just kind of cryptid through and through.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if they had legends of it. Now, it is an interesting thing to note, even though that Cadillac had supposedly seen it and been the one to initiate all of this, the Nain actually does not get mentioned until the book that was written by... Notes don't fail me.
Marie
something of another.
Yes, and that her
find
book was Marie Caroline Watson Hamlin.
Yep.
And her book was written in 1883. So that's where a lot of, I guess, time discrepancy comes in.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because that's what almost 100 years after.
Somewhere's within that range because of the fact of Cadillac was back at the founding, and with this, yeah, it's roughly about that, I think. So there's a little bit of an argument of, oh, well, this was just a story that started in this
Right.
book because this book was legends and stories of the city,
Right.
which I actually really kind of want to find that book because it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it does sound interesting. Unfortunately, probably with how long ago it was written, it probably would be a dry read.
I mean, I read through Don Quixote 3 times.
Oh, wow. I have a hard time reading the older books, so I don't know why.
Certain old books are fun with
It's
other worded.
Probably the way they're worded for me, the dyslexia kicks in. but-
Yeah, I could understand because so many times I would read something and realize I've read the same paragraph 3 times.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So there is a little bit of that to create kind of an argument, I guess, against it. But outside of that, where a lot of these stories and cryptids and stuff have things that are pro for it and con against
Yeah.
it, that's about it.
Yeah.
Other than the fact of they say that there was no solid proof that anything like this happened to Cadillac, even
Right.
though he did fall on hard times.
Right. He could have just been a crazy old man that just kind of lost everything type of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, his wife was with him at the time.
When he whacked the thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
because
okay.
she's the one that warned. So the way it went is he was told, like Wolf said, he was told by a fortune teller about it. And then when he got to America, they were out for a walk because at the time Detroit was a fort.
Right.
And they were out for a walk and they heard something, and his wife warned him about what the fortune teller told him. She was scared about it.
Yeah.
And he just kind of shrugged it off, and they kept going until they encountered the red dwarf. And as I said before, he bopped it on the head and told it to go away.
And it did, and cursed him.
Yeah. And he was a very, very wealthy man. He was in charge. I mean, he was the founder of Detroit.
Right. I mean, there's a whole nother city named after him in Michigan. So,
yeah.
So.
And, I mean, it didn't help the fact that in everything that I've read that he kind of got a little too big for his britches. Where he kind of lorded over the locals, and rather than it be what a lot of towns were, where, hey, we're all going to help each other out and make this place something, he started demanding things like basically rent from the people. So he treated it more like a duchy or a noble's thing.
Right.
And it was considered an abuse of power.
Yeah.
And that's what really kind of started his tumble into, I guess, the curse.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I guess with that, that's like the overall discussion of what it is. That's kind of the beginning story of it. We're going to go to our ad break, and then we'll come back and we will talk about, well, what Detroit is doing to fend off the Red Menace.
The battle rages on.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you all on the other side.
See ya.
See ya.
And we're back.
Are we? Are we really?
Yes.
As soon as you said that, I
Now
had to
speak,
sneeze.
Magic Man, speak.
All right, what are we speaking about? Wolf is about to explode.
Why can't I remember the name of it? I know even if I...
Nain Rouge?
No, not the Nain Rouge. The March.
Ah, yes.
The La Marche de Nain Rouge.
The March de Nain Rouge.
Day, not...
I apologize because I know I butchered that pronunciation. But that's okay. So what the march is, and the, I guess, final leg of our journey here before other things, is in Detroit, there is actually a festival nowadays held for the Nain Rouge. It is a festival where it's kind of a mixed bag. They hold a parade and they try to drive the Nain Rouge out of Detroit.
They drive an effigy of the
They drive
Nain
an effigy
Rouge.
out. I have heard or read in articles and heard in things that I've listened to where the people that actually run it have described it as a Halloween meets St. Patrick's Day meets Burning Man.
I think also probably meet Krampus.
Yeah, kind of.
What is that called?
The Krampus Day thing that they have in Norway.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I would have to think so.
Those people put a lot of work in their costumes, and yes, Krampuses run all over their cities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just roam free. People dressed as Krampus.
Huh.
So reading from an article here, each spring Detroit holds a costume community parade called the Marche de Nain Rouge, in which the creature is traditionally chased out of the city, although the revival parade stays entirely within the Midtown Cass corridor neighborhood. I'm not super familiar with Detroit, so I'm not sure where that's at down there.
It's in Detroit.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
That's all I know.
For anyone that doesn't know about Detroit, it's basically a bunch of cities that are linked up to each other.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Well,
kind of like New York has boroughs and Detroit kind of has just a bunch of suburbs.
yeah, it has sectors, basically. At the conclusion of the parade, an effigy of the Nain Rouge is destroyed, thus banishing the evil spirit from the city for another year. According to tradition, parade participants and spectators are encouraged to wear different costumes each year so that when the Nain Rouge next returns, he will not recognize persons who ousted him from the city limits and thus will not be able to seek personal vengeance. So kind of a old traditional costume thing where it was like fool the spirit.
Yep.
The 2011 event featured a parade followed by the banishment in a party in Cass Park, drawing hundreds of guests. At the parade, organizations calling themselves the Friends of the Nain Rouge and We Are Nain Rouge have lightheartedly protested the banishing parade, arguing that the Nain Rouge is not to blame for the city's ills, and that considering Detroit's population loss, no one should be banished from the city, particularly those who have been there the longest.
Right.
Meaning, there are people that, I guess, quote unquote, defend the reputation of the Nain Rouge.
Well, but isn't, as far as I know, the research I did, it sounds like it's all sides of it is like in jest and almost in fun.
Yeah, nowadays.
Yeah. I don't think anyone is super ultra serious about it.
Right.
But there is one side's like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this, and the other side's like, why not?
Yeah, which makes sense. There's always going to be two sides to everything.
Yeah,
It's just kind of how the world works. So.
Well, and it's that thing of one side views it as a evil spirit or something that needs to be driven out. And this is just speculation because I honestly cannot confirm or deny whether any of these people actually believe this.
Right.
Sorry. But one side believes it to be an evil spirit or entity, while the other side is, well, no, it's a creature or a spirit that's been here before us. We are the ones that have either incurred what's happened, or it's trying to protect us, and it is our guardian of the city.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
I would personally like to actually go to it.
As like an observer?
As an observer, I think it would be fun. I did see an interesting little snippet in one of the articles where the person who is dressed as the Nain Rouge stays anonymous to everyone but the organizers.
Interesting.
So it's kind
So
of
the guy that's getting ran out of the city's like
Unknown.
Unknown. Okay, that's
and he gets to
interesting.
like go around and taunt people and just be like, I'm
That's
gonna
cool.
do this, and
Yeah.
it's a cool little festival.
That sounds really
That does
fun
sound
almost.
cool.
So.
But yeah.
It's an interesting bit of history for Detroit. So
Yeah. Yep. Well, if it's anything that city has is a lot of history there.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's pretty much the modern thing, and that is a fairly modern thing. It started in the early 2000s.
Really? Wow, that's really new.
It just hasn't happened in 2020, and I seen it when I was looking up some stuff on break. It got canceled for this year as well for obvious reasons.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it has been going earlier and up until recent, so.
Cool.
Interesting.
Well, okay. Well, that brings us to almost the end. We have a couple little things left. Yeah. What do you guys think of the Nain Rouge? We'll start with Ramakat. Like, what do you think overall of the tale, and what do you think of the creature itself?
The creature itself, I like it because it's a very simplistic thing.
Yeah. It's
and-
very short. Like, the history is matter of fact.
Yep.
And it's just kind of straight to the point.
History and legends are very matter of fact and to the point, as he said. And I don't know, with some of the things, like the time frame of like when it was written about to like referring back to when it first supposedly happened to Cadillac, I almost feel like this was more of an analogy than anything of, in a sense, I don't know how to really word it, but be a little bit more kind to your neighbor. Because at the core of it, even nowadays, is the thing of, well, keep an eye out for potential disasters and things that could plague the city.
Right.
You know, community, you know, we need to unify as like a community. So
Yeah.
I think it is more something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
Kind of like just a community mascot.
kind of in a sense, people have to kind of be afraid of something to unify.
True. Yeah. And if you're afraid of a little red guy, like you're making
Cursing things.
yeah, that would suck. So.
I mean, I'm not going to throw out that potentially there could be a spirit or something that lived there.
Right. Yeah.
Because the Native Americans had plenty of rather consistent stories of creatures like the Nain Rouge all through this part of America.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. They are always talking about guardian spirits and, well, even like vengeful spirits, like
Yeah.
people that are disturbed in their eternal rest and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But just me personally, I think it is more a thing of kind of try to unify the community, because and this is not to put negative light, I don't like saying, but it's always been kind of a city of troubles. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's been that thing of, hey, we got to work together to make this place really grow and
Yep.
succeed. So
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good take on it. How about you, Wolf?
He kind of put it basically said most of what I thought of.
Okay, cool.
it was Detroit's mascot. There's a fun little thing of, though, not to cut it. There are breweries and stuff down there that have made drinks that they've named, like the Red Devil, Red Dwarf, Detroit Dwarf. Yeah. It's really cool that like a lot of companies embrace it.
Yep. I saw a lot of articles while I was looking online, like, my Harbinger of Doom is better than your Harbinger of Doom. People like putting up like the Nain rouge against like the Mothman and stuff, and other like monsters of that similar takes. Like, yeah, my demonic entity is better than yours, and
yeah,
I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. So.
Yeah, I like how it started out as something sinister and has become a lighthearted thing.
Yeah.
That people have kind of come to love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of things just kind of get pish-poshed off to a few people like us who like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and this seems like it's a very publicly accepted bit of folklore.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yep.
Which is really cool. I wish more people would kind of integrate folklore and stuff like that into like just
have some
everyday.
have some traditions like that. Yeah.
That's one thing I like about the paranormal and supernatural. It's like it kind of forces you to look back at old traditions. Like, yeah, they might seem crazy nowadays. Like a fortune teller is telling you, oh yeah, you're gonna see a little red imp guy walking on the side of the road and you're supposed to be nice to him. Like, you don't hear about that happening nowadays.
No. But there's also that thing too, I think, if potentially, and it's always an if with all this stuff, of things like that possibly being real. Problem is humans are so distracted nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Our attention ricochets from one thing to the next.
Right.
If we see things weird, we automatically dismiss it instead of approach it with curiosity.
That is true. Well, we also try to quantify it as well.
Yeah.
Like you hear a bump in like in a big room, big empty room, right? And you're like, oh, it's just foundation cracking.
Yeah.
Like you think of it that way. You're not
House settling,
something like that, or it's the wind.
Yeah.
You don't think, it's a poltergeist. I'm haunted.
Well, I mean, as simple as this, I've had this happen in my house. I hear a bump against my house because my bedroom is by one of the outer walls.
Yeah.
I think it's a piece of siding hitting it that got loose or something. Now it turns out in the middle of the night, rabbits fight outside my house and slam each other into the side of my house.
So that's what that is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, it's a very small thumb. Not some of those other things that I've told you about. But it's just this is consistent. Happens every other night.
Right, yeah. Okay.
But, it's things like that. You think it's one thing when it could be something totally different.
So in that aspect, it's very cool to see a city accept and almost just come to terms with something and turn it into something that they celebrate and kind of bring themselves together with.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see that. So
it's kind of like, again, to go back to it, Mothman.
Yeah.
That town has totally embraced that legend.
yeah, exactly.
So.
And then you have other towns that are supposedly like Bigfoot HQ and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
all those little places and sections and cities and
right.
little towns have a special place in my heart. I wish I could go to all of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I mean, Detroit by far is not a little town or anything.
No, but like this is just a small portion of Detroit.
Small area.
Because Detroit is a metropolis.
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
I think it's the way it's all explained is I really think it's not something that actually exists. Like, I think it's something that was made up by somebody that wanted to make the town popular.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a way. So, like, that's kind of what I explained for the founder of the town, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, he's going to blame his bad luck onto some random
thing.
creature that he upset, right?
Yep.
Like, that makes sense. He's going to blame it on somebody else, right? Everything else, I think it was just in chaos, and then maybe like we found those stories out by one lady that was writing them down, right?
Yeah, like she
Yeah, in
wrote
a
a book
book.
that was she wrote a series of stories.
Right. So like creative writing.
Yep, that
So-
that very well could have been.
Not that I'm saying that I don't like necessarily not believe in it 100%, but just the way it sounds kind of more like a publicity scheme than a real life cryptid.
Well, I don't think back
Or a
then it was so
real-life
much
paranormal
a
thing.
publicity thing, but they definitely wrote things into it as like warnings or lessons and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of like more like a PSA than an actual paranormal thing.
right, and with like the time frame of it, I could see legends going through history of like, oh, Cadillac had horrible luck after like his downfall. The devil got him. Or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Yep. Yeah, I could see that. So that's kind of my idea behind it. That's what I'm thinking.
It is
so.
interesting though, because if it was like that, why wouldn't it just be like he met the devil?
That is true.
Yeah, because usually stories do go like that. with-
Maybe they just wanted to make it more interesting.
It could be.
Maybe they're like, well, let's do the devil, but let's make it real small.
yeah,
And
Small
let's,
devil.
let's take off, because like Michigan has a bunch of Native American
legends.
heritage to it.
Yep.
So like, of course, people that are writing about this are gonna probably be versed in Native American lore and stuff, and of course they'll probably come up with like the little hobgoblin guys. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
could be
because
something as simple as that.
stories, I imagine, when they were traded, passed freely between each other.
Yep.
So yeah,
But that's my thoughts on it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
any other words from you guys? You got anything else for it?
No, not really.
Well, this was a very short and sweet, to the point subject. So
With that, we appreciate you guys listening. If you guys like this type of episode, maybe the shorter ones, let us know, because we're always really leery on
Shorter topic.
shorter topics. Like we almost canceled on this one a couple times because we weren't sure if it would be enough for a
Yeah.
full podcast episode. So we try to find something that's fulfilling for you guys to listen to, something that's actually going to give you worth your time for listening. So
it would really help me out to know, because my idea of research is make a full dossier
paper.
research
Yeah.
paper on stuff.
yeah. So yeah, you guys can let us know in the comments of YouTube, or just let us know like on Twitter or something like that. So
Yep.
With that, we are going to close out so we can go take a nap because I'm tired. Wait, no, it's nighttime. Never mind. I can't take a nap.
Yeah,
I woke up.
it's almost 1 a.m. right now.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
just a little chilly.
With that, if you want to help us out, you can leave a review for this podcast on iTunes or like Podchaser. Anywhere that you can leave a review would be great. It doesn't have to be a good review. Just leave a review. So that way people know what you think of us. So
Yep.
you can also hit that subscribe button or that like button, or leave a comment on YouTube. There you can look us up at Look Behind You, and you'll be able to find us. You probably have to put in Look Behind You Paranormal or something like that, but you should find us pretty easily there. You can also find us on Twitter at Behind You Pod. There you can give us episode ideas and just hang out with us. Give us, I don't know, give us attention. We're needy. Wolf is needy. He's staring at Twitter 24/7, crying sometimes because he just needs attention.
Yeah.
Oh, he just died. Never mind. We're good.
My throat went funky.
Oh, sure. You were just I seen the tears.
Someone opened an onion.
Someone opened an onion. How do you open an onion?
You take one thumb, then you take the other thumb, you grip the onion, then you just press your thumbs into
I
it,
forget you could do that. Never mind.
and then you
Yeah.
rip it in half.
Yeah.
I just picture just like some buff dude just like onion just rips it in half and screams.
Like Outriders when I was playing it today. Random screaming from main character.
Fun fact about the original Olympics, they would just eat a whole onion before participating.
They were also
That
naked.
makes sense because there's so many good nutrients in an onion.
Yeah, they just eat the onion whole
Yeah.
before participating.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, besides for all of that helpful information, you
onions.
also found out where you can find us. I have been Sir Boom. You can find me on Twitter at SirBoom9. You can also find me on another podcast called Baka Talk. There I talk about the pop culture and anime, mainly anime.
So much
Mostly
anime.
anime.
Lots of anime. Ramen Cat, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at RamenCat13.
Nice.
Hopefully with the holidays coming up and work lightening up a little bit, not much, I should be a little bit more active.
Don't kid yourself.
They might see a little bit more art because I'm finally getting a studio set up.
Oh,
so.
that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
All right, Wolf, where can they find you?
They can find me on our Twitter page.
On our Twitter page.
Yes.
Okay.
The podcast Twitter page.
The podcast Twitter page.
Yes.
Okay, you're not talking about our Twitter page.
Now you got me confused.
I knew I was
Because
gonna.
our Twitter page is probably a Twitter page of itself.
I didn't
That's
think of
true. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that either.
You might
That's
want
a
to give
good
them the
point.
handle.
I was trying to go with a stupid joke and I couldn't land
They
the.
can find me
punchline,
at
so-
Behind You Pod. Right? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, you got
Is
it.
it just Behind You Pod?
Yep.
Wow. How do we get that?
How?
I thought we'd
I
have to
typed
do
it in.
more.
Do more?
'Cause
No, I
a
just
lot of
typed it
times those Twitter handles are taken.
Yeah, that's what happened with Baka Talk. When we were making ours, we had to do it Talk Baka.
Oh, because there was a handle like
which in
that.
Japanese literally just basically translates to talk idiot. So
That's perfect.
yeah, it's kind of perfect. But yeah, with that, we will
See you next time.
see you next time. Yeah,
Have a good night.
See ya.
bye. And remember, look behind you because you never know what you see.